It's your girl, Hope TV Movie Bestie, and I watch good shit. And I just got done watching the premiere episode of Hacks. Hacks is back, y'all. All right, this is the 5th and final season. For those of you who are not familiar with Hacks, let me give you a very brief overview. Jean Smart, should I say more? I will. So, Jean Smart plays the character of Deborah Vance, and Deborah Vance is elderly comedian, and she now lives in Vegas. She does residencies and things like that, but she doesn't do the stand-up comedy that she once did. She was a legend in the comedy game, and so she is looking to revitalize her career. She hooks up with a writer whose name is Ava, and she doesn't really like Ava, but Ava is very young, she's talented, she's smart, and over the course of the past 4 years, they develop a respect and a love for each other, and so they work really well together. Now, Deborah's main goal is she wants her own late night TV show, and so they eventually get this goal, but then lots of things happen, and they tell her she can either keep her show or fire Ava as her head writer. And so because of the respect she has for Ava, she says, no, I'm not going to do that. And so she loses everything. And then her and Ava, they go off to Singapore and they do comedy shows, have an insane time in Singapore. We are back with season 5, and Deborah is alive and well because at the end of season 4, there was a rumor, TMZ reported that she was dead. And so she comes home from Singapore and, there's flowers, a memorial, all this stuff outside of her house. And she's like, oh my gosh. And she gets out the car and there are people outside mourning. And they're like, oh my gosh, she's risen. And she's like, I'm not Jesus. I was never dead. They got the story wrong. Deborah is like, people now thought I'm dead. What can I do to bring myself back? So she decides that she is going to EGOT. So she says she already has an Emmy, she already has a Tony, all she needs is the Grammy and the Oscar. She calls in Jimmy, who's her manager, and she's like, I need you to get on the O. And he's like, oh, right, because if you want an Oscar, I can just get you an Oscar. He says, I don't even know if we can do anything because, she would have to be in a movie or something like that. And she has this non-compete clause. Another one of their team partners says, oh yeah, she can totally do it as long as whatever she creates does not come out until after the clause is expired. So she's like, great, get on my Oscar. And Jimmy's just like, okay. So then she is like, okay, now for the Grammy. So she has been nominated 7 times for a Grammy for her stand-up comedy performances. But of course, she can't really do that now. So she decides she's going to do an audiobook and she'll narrate her memoir. And they're like, oh my gosh, you wrote a memoir? And she's like, well, no, but I know the best writer in the business and he'll write it for me. And, I'll get it. It'll be great. I win a Grammy. They're like, okay, Deborah, this is a lot, but sure. So Jimmy, he talks to Ava and he's like, Ava, I need you to write something for me because we are struggling at our company. We've lost a lot of our clients. We have Deborah, who's our biggest client, but now she got fired from late night. She's been in Singapore. Everybody thinks she had a nervous breakdown. Then they thought she died. We need money. We are bleeding money. And I need you to do some kind of big thing that will sell and make a lot of money. And she's like, yeah, I don't have time to do that, Jimmy, because I'm trying to help Deborah get back on her feet. But I do have this story that I wrote. I can, I guess, send you that and see where it goes. And so he's like, okay, that's fine. The writer for Deborah's memoir, he comes to the house and Deborah's like, okay, great. I just need 15 chapters. I can tell you everything you need to know. We can be done with this in 2 weeks. And he's like, whoa, no, I have a whole process and, I want to go way back even before you were born into your family's culture and history. And Deborah's just like, sir, I'm trying to get these nominations together in time for award season. I don't have time for this. Then Jimmy and his crew, they working on getting her the Oscar. They're like, maybe she could produce a TV short. But, it takes a long time to do that. There's a lot of highly qualified people. They're like, that ain't gonna work. Another one of the partners suggests that maybe Jimmy could get her a role in his movie. So he's doing this biopic. It's doing really well. There's a lot of buzz about it. All she has to be in it is like for just a really short period of time, like 5 minutes. And if it wins, she can, get the Oscar. And so Jimmy's like, I don't know. This is the only thing we got that's making us money. I don't want to tank it. And they're like, how you gonna get her an Oscar? Jimmy, he goes on set, him and Kayla, they are doing reshoots. And so this one actress, everybody like hates her performance. She sucks. The director is like, I do not like her in this role. And so Jimmy's like, yeah, we should recast her. And he said, this lady is playing a comedian. Why don't you actually cast a comedian? And he's like, I have the perfect person. And so Kayla's like, yeah, Deborah Vance, get her in it. And he's like, oh, I don't know. Didn't she have like a breakdown and all this stuff? And they're like, no, that was made up. She's totally fine. She's great. She used to be on a TV show back in the 70s. Like, she'll be awesome. And so the guy's like, okay, fire this lady and then hire Deborah. So they end up firing this lady. This lady has like a breakdown. And then Kayla's like, don't worry, we'll hire you as another client on our management company. And Jimmy is just like, Kayla, we trying to make money. We don't have time to take no talent clients. Deborah, she ends up canceling the book because she's just like, this guy, he doesn't see my vision. Ava is like, well, what are you going to do? She takes her to a recording studio and she's like, okay, I'm going to record a song with this Mexican artist because this is like the Grammy category that's kind of struggling this year. I'm going to record this song with him, make it a hit, and then we can win a Grammy. And Ava's just like, what? Is that really what you're going to do? And she's like, yep. So she gets in the studio. She's working on the song. Afterwards, Ava's like, look, Deborah, I love that you are back and you have a renewed energy because in Singapore, she kind of like lost her mind. But I don't think you getting on this Mexican song is really going to do it for you. And she's like, what else would help you win a Grammy? Like, what other kind of performances could you do? Deborah says, well, the biggest stage for a comedian would be to perform at Madison Square Garden. And so Ava's like, okay, so why don't we try to figure out a way to do that? And she's like, okay, I guess. So she said, I'm just going to go to bed and we'll talk about this tomorrow. So she goes to bed, and as she's going to bed, she puts on some of her old clips from her talk show. She's looking for them, like, on her streaming app, and she can't find them. She's like, what the hell? So she goes, she gets Ava. She's like, Ava, can you find them? So Ava's looking, and then Ava's like, okay, well, let's just type in any of your stand-up stuff. They're typing it, they can't find it. And they're like, oh my gosh. So Bob Litka, who is the guy who they had this deal for the late night TV show, and, he killed it after she didn't fire Ava. So they're like, oh my gosh, he scrubbed everything because he owns pretty much like everything. And he owns this streaming company. And so they pulled all of Deborah's work from the streaming app. And they're like, whoa. And so Deborah's like, okay, not only are they trying to bury me, but now they're erasing me. And she's like, I got to do something. She goes to Jimmy, forget about the movie. Like, I'm going to do a stand-up comedy show. And Jimmy's like, oh, darling, you're sundown and you can't do that. There's a non-compete clause. And she's like, yeah. I got a guy. We're going to do a secret show. We're going to confiscate everybody's phones. People will show up because, they think I've gone crazy, so they'll want to see me. They do a show backstage. Like, everybody has to sit on the floor. It's a great performance. And then the next day, Deborah gets served. And she ends up getting sued because the company is like, yeah, we saw this video on the internet of you doing a stand-up comedy show. So that violates your non-compete clause. And Deborah, she goes to court, so she has to pay this fine. She has plenty of money, so she's like, whatever. There's like press there. And so she's saying that they're trying to stifle her. I can't even perform comedy, the thing that I'm great at. And the non-compete clause is done. And I'm going to tell my story on the biggest stage ever. I'm going to perform at Madison Square Garden. And everybody's like, oh, wow. And so Jimmy, Ava, and Deborah, they're leaving the courthouse, and Jimmy is like, for somebody who isn't allowed to talk or perform, you sure did have a lot of airtime today. And she's like, yeah, I know. And he's like, oh my gosh, wait, you leaked the video? And she's like, no, I would never do that. And Ava was like, yeah, I did it. And so Jimmy's like, what? And Ava says, how else were we going to get Madison Square Garden? And Jimmy's like, you never lost it, Deborah. So the episode ends. I love this show. I think it is hilarious. Jean Smart still got it after all these years. I loved her from Designing Women and all her days on Lifetime movies and everything. It's also like smart. It's heartwarming. There's a lot of truth about like women in Hollywood and how they're treated, and especially like as they age. And there's all these thread lines that I think are really good about this show. So I love it. I'm sad it's the last season, but I've enjoyed the ride. Let me know if you watch Hacks. If you don't, if you never heard of it, check out the first episode. It's on HBO. So let me know if you decide to watch it, what you think of it. And I will see you on the next show, on the next episode. Bye, besties.